all of what I've done in my company started, of course, with doing it in the military, certainly. So 20 years, I finished out my career on the airborne special operations side. So, I got to do what I would say is the fun and exciting stuff, because I mean, we all, in the end, as you work your way up, and I don't care whether you're a non-commissioned officer or a warrant officer or a commissioned officer, the different, is that you're going to have to do those jobs where it's like, man, really, because it's the stuff that you have to do. Just like right now, if you own a business, you may have started a business because you like doing a task, right? If you're a chef, even, you like cooking or creating new dishes. And yet...
That's not running a restaurant.
That's right. Exactly. You've got to run payroll. You've got to do all this other stuff. And then, but either you hire people to do that, or when you're starting out, you're doing it. And it pulls you away. And this is no different in the military. I didn't have to do that as much, I felt, because I got to do the things that, just the action things. And all the way up till, I pretty much retired. And if I wasn't, getting to do the action things, well, at least I was working on things that would help improve the people that are also going downrange next, and giving them better equipment, better, that kind of stuff. And so, and whether that was in this, again, the SERE realm, or whether that was in the primary job, shoot, move, communicate kind of stuff. So anyway, so when I retired, I was 84 to 04, was pretty much my window of my total military career. I got out, and it was, could have stayed in longer, and I would just, but you also have, life gets in the way, and I'm saying life is families and things, and I wasn't in the way, but I'm just saying I had different responsibilities now. I was single for a good portion of my military time, and if you're going to do that kind of work, probably suggested, because it's tough. Yeah. It's tough to manage. It's really is just the demands of that. But and God bless the families that can because they didn't necessarily sign up for that, but they have to the deployments and all that thing. But when you have an issue, with and in the family between my wife, I had a young son, and it's just there were some issues that was kind of concerning of whether or not if something happened to me, if I were to stay in, because I got, you get offers after you've come in that community to go continue to do this stuff as for some level contracting for companies, go back into, and do, basically
there's agencies and things like that.
But the reality is you don't always have the same thing. The bad thing about that for some of these guys is that if it happens really fast, you got to remember you don't have the same support coverage, system. Right? It's just like if you work in government and have other types of credentials. Let's say official passports and things like that. It gets you other support. If you're a blue passport holding, you're just a regular schmo. You just have to take that into account. And it's true now, even for government people.
Yeah, what we're talking about is the vulnerabilities that exist there and the decrease in capability because of the things that have been pulled away from you that you may not even realize yet.
Right.
And you don't want to be finding that out.
Exactly.
When the shit hits the fan.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say that because we've had a foot in both. We've served certainly a lot of military active duty and still do. And on the soft and smooth side, and also interagency, because that was coming into play around the as post 9/11, of course, and in the early 2000s of a lot of the whether it's DOJ and others were coming into needing personnel recovery. The Army finally had its doctrine in personnel recovery. It was actually dated in 2005. I was already out a year. I'd been doing this for 20 years, and yet a lot of this stuff had never been truly codified.
Wow.
And so, but it's fine that it was finally coming out. But it's one thing to write it down; it's something else to have it actually have infrastructure. And that's the one thing I kind of
a business,
right? And I think I mentioned too. That's the one thing. My operational periods and my travels through different, theaters around the world is what I found out is, we may have a lot of good doctrine, and yet sometimes it's not something behind it. So the analogy would be, if I see a fire alarm on the wall, Well, we would all assume in a developed nation
That
that's
it works.
connected, it's connected to an infrastructure
But
that's
what
going to
does that
respond.
mean? But
Right.
what does that really mean?
Right. And now you go travel, because we deal, obviously, all our things are about deployments. But now if you're out of the military, but you're traveling around the world, you could be in just a developing nation. You could be in a frontier nation. Their infrastructure certainly is not maybe the first world. But even in the first world, you can have incidents where, and we've seen it, Katrina, I mentioned Katrina was a big, wake-up call. And that when you have something that's widespread, now this is Mother Nature, this isn't conflict or man-made, but you have, earthquake, a hurricane, whatever, it destabilizes normal first responder infrastructure.